Hi guys, welcome back to Chasing Cases with Maddie, of course. This week I am bringing to you guys a case that has always sat really heavy on my heart because it has still been unsolved. There was a lawsuit at one point and it was dismissed, so I just want to get into it. It's a very weird story, so without further ado, let's get into it. Let's go chase some cases. Today we are going to be covering the case of Elisa Lam. Born in Vancouver to her parents who had recently relocated from Hong Kong, Elisa was young, intelligent, and very studious. At just 21 years old, Elisa wanted to venture out on her own and set a plan to travel to California. While she was staying in Hollywood, she ended up in the Cecil Hotel, and after January 31st, Elisa was not seen alive again. Elisa was struggling with mental health issues. Eventually diagnosed with bipolar and depression, her family claims Elisa kept her mental health very private and never discussed suicidal ideation. In 2010, Elisa created a blog titled Ether Fields, where she shared accounts of her life. She shared fashion model inspiration and just other quotes and just basic what every young person posts on the internet. She later switched to blogging on Tumblr to connect with other like-minded individuals, where she was also blogging about her mental health struggles. Elisa later posted in 2012 that due to a relapse that she had to drop some of her classes, and she was really concerned how so many withdrawals were going to impact her transcripts. All of her withdrawals and her relapse caused her to not be enrolled in her university in 2013. On her trip to California, she traveled via intercity buses and Amtrak. She visited the San Diego Zoo and posted pictures on her social media. On January 26th, Elisa arrived in LA, and 2 days later she checked into the Cecil Hotel near Skid Row. Elisa was assigned to share a room with other occupants on the 5th floor. The hotel lawyer later noted that the other occupants of the room really just were not getting along with Elisa due to some odd behaviors that Elisa had been exhibiting. The manager of the hotel stated that Elisa was leaving notes for her roommates stating to go away, to leave the room, stay away from me. She would even go as far as to lock the door and require a password for re-entry into the room for her other roommates that were also occupying that room. Elisa had been in contact with her parents the entire trip up until January 31st. On January 31st, she was supposed to check out of the Cecil Hotel and she failed to do so. She also failed to contact her parents and head out to Santa Cruz, which was her next stop in her travels. The hotel staff claimed to have seen Elisa that day, claiming that she was alone and that she seemed friendly though. The manager of the last bookstore was the last person to see Elisa that day, stating she was outgoing, very lively, and friendly, claiming Elisa was making purchases to bring back gifts home to her family, and even went as far as to ask if the books she was buying would be too heavy to continue her travels. After not having contact with their daughter, Elisa's parents contacted LAPD. Once LAPD got involved, they conducted room searches at the hotel and nothing came up. They even used scent dogs and they conducted room searches on every floor and included the rooftop. None of the scent dogs picked up on Elisa's scent. During this time, the surveillance footage was being reviewed and they spotted Elisa in the elevator acting in a suspicious manner. That is when we get into the elevator footage. The footage is about 2.5 minutes long. Elisa is alone in the elevator and she's acting kind of not inebriated, but she's acting very odd. She's pressing every button on the elevator. She's peeking her head in and out of the doors as they're open. And researchers have realized that she had pressed the open door button, so as she was waiting for it to close, it wouldn't have closed because she pressed the hold elevator button. Eventually, she exited the elevator and she was not seen again. And that is what makes this case so weird. This footage went viral and brought some much needed attention to the case. Several theories emerged, including her being drugged or on drugs, but people were very convinced that she was drugged by someone pursuing her. During the search for Elisa, guests at the hotel described a foul odor and an odd color to the water. Upon further searching, Elisa's body was found in the water tank on the hotel's rooftop. She was discovered floating face up with no clothes on. There were no signs of sexual assault and no evidence of drugs or suicide. In the autopsy report, it was stated that they found small amounts of non-prescription pills, likely Tylenol, and some alcohol. They found no recreational drugs, but was more important, They didn't find her bipolar medication in her system, meaning that she most likely stopped taking it sometime during her trip. Now let's get into some theories. The investigators never released how Elisa got into the water tanks because there was no fixed access point to the tanks. There was a small hole on the top, and it was a small square that you would have to either be shoved into or you would have to suck in and really want to get into the water tower. It was not a fixed access point like a door like people think. This caused mass speculation and people ran wild with theories, so I'm just going to touch on a few of the more common ones. Hotel involvement theory. The stairways and doors to the roof were locked with only hotel staff having access with keys and passwords. People also speculated different ways that she could have accessed the water tanks, and many people landed on she was placed in the tanks. Decomposition theory. Many speculate that drugs and other bodily contents broke down as Elisa was in the water, definitely before a toxicology report could be done. This theory is solely based off of the elevator video with Elisa acting in such a strange manner. She was either having a manic episode or she was on some type of drug or substance. These are other theories. Based on the autopsy report, there is no statement if a rape kit and a fingernail kit had been completed. No evidence of these results can be found anywhere. Based on the incomplete information, people speculate that Elisa was assaulted based on blood pooling locations. But the medical examiner concluded that the blood pooling was due to how long Elisa's body spent in the water. There was a post made to Elisa's Tumblr account after she passed away, and investigators have no idea if it was through the queue system or if it was via phone theft, because her phone was not located in the hotel or near her body. Elisa's death remains an accident. In September 2013, Elisa's parents filed a wrongful death suit, claiming the hotel had failed to inspect and seek out hazardous dangers for their guests. The hotel's lawyer later concluded that the water tanks and rooftop access were not prominent issues for the hotel guests. In 2015, the case was dismissed. Elisa's case has been inspiration for many episodes of TV, including the series Castle and How to Get Away with Murder. Many documentaries have also been made about Elisa's case, warning others of the dangers of traveling alone, especially when you are young. The Lamb family is devastated and wants nothing more than justice for their daughter. And with that, that is the end of this week's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode of Chasing Cases. This one is such a hard one because all the theories, all the speculation, they tried to do the right thing by going after the hotel for wrongful death, but then that didn't work out. So it really feels like the Lamb family just has no justice in this case. With that being said, that is the end of this week's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you guys next week for a normal vlog, and I will see you guys in 2 weeks for Chasing Cases. I love you.